my god, after all that talk, I couldn't be any bit more excited to watch James Bond. I mean, James freaking Bond, man. He's run for 50 years. It's going to have a really strong start, right? And could not be more excited for Dr. No. Let's go.
W6N Kingston, Jamaica, broken contact, sir, just after they came up on routine transmission.
Broken or faded?
Broken, sir, just voice. The carrier wave still established.
You checked on both emergency frequencies?
Yes, sir, no joy on either.
Universal exports.
Welcome to Jamaica, Mr. Bond. Yes, your head office alerted us this morning.
You free for lunch today? 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock, your office, that'll suit me fine.
Anything I can do for you?
Oh, yes. I came across this in Strangway's office. Your receipt.
Yes, that's right.
The name's Board. James Board. Yeah, have you ever actually sat down and watched Dr. No? It's very methodically... It takes its time. It's fucking slow. It's so slow. It's so slow, I was like, is it actually moving at all? Anyway, the plot is that Bond is sent to Jamaica to investigate the disappearance of an agent. On the hunt for this agent, he comes across the underground base of Dr. No, who is hoping to stop an American space launch using radio beam weapons. Look, I'm not going to come down with that. First of all, it's over 50 years old, and it also kind of feels like they were really trying to figure out what Bond would be on the big screen for this one. But a lot of the iconic Bond stuff is there. We have the barrel of the gun intro, of course, the tuxedos, the gambling, Spectre.
Spectre?
Spectre.
Felix Leiter in it. M is in it. Q is in it, but he's not named. So there's elements like that where it feels like they're trying to figure out what exactly this series is going to look like as a whole.
A medium dry martini, lemon peel, shaken, not stirred.
Vodka?
Of course.
It feels like they just don't know how they all fit together yet, really. Like, for example, we always associate Bond with gadgets. Want to know what his gadget in this one is? A gun.
Then from now on, you carry a different gun. Show him, Amra.
Walter PPK. 7.65 mil with a delivery like a brick through a plate glass window. Takes a Brausch silencer with very little reduction in muzzle velocity.
That's a regular gun.
The American CIA swear by them.
But you know what the first Bond theme is? You probably heard it before, actually. Three blind mice. Three blind mice.
Three blind mice in a row. Three blind mice.
As I was saying though, the film just isn't that exciting. It's a spy film, a more grounded one than what Bond will become later. And as a result of that, there's times where it just isn't that exciting. And even the exciting moments aren't particularly exciting. For example, we get a fight scene where Bond kicks and throws people into boxes. Yeah, apparently Bond was way ahead of that action cliche. And there's the moment where he beats the absolute piss out of a spider. Well, I guess we can't talk about the first Bond film without talking about Bond and his introduction. After all, this is the first appearance of Bond in cinemas. So, how does Connery do as Bond? I mean, I guess the secret's out of the bag, but he absolutely nails it. I mean, for a lot of people, Connery defines James Bond, and sure, that's easy to do when you're the first one to be Bond, but it's undeniable. He crushes this role, and it's easy to see why he is so associated with the character of James Bond even to this day. He just has a real effortless cool about him. He's slick as fuck.
Mr. Smith & Wesson. And you've had your six.
And he just cuts an amazing image in that tux. He's a very suave man, but he also has an underlying impression that he could snap at any moment, but he chooses to play it cool.
Bond. James Bond.
I mean, he comes off like a psychopath, but it's undeniable that he is just perfect in the characterization of James Bond. Since this is Bond's first outing, we also get a lot of moments where it feels like he's over his head, or he's making mistakes that he certainly wouldn't be making later on. Which, I'm not sure is that entirely intentional or not, but like, for example, there's a moment where he lets an enemy spy kill themselves because he allows them to have a cigarette. Which, like, that seems pretty obvious. I don't know how you managed to make that mistake. And he also gives out to a guy for speeding? He's not even going that fast, really. I mean, considering the way you drive, I guess, Yeah, can we talk about that for a sec? The car driving scenes in these movies are pretty bad. It's like when you give your brother a remote control that's not plugged in and you're thinking, oh yeah, you're playing the game, you're playing. Because it's a bit of a more grounded spy film though, we get moments where Bond has to use kind of his wits more than gadgets and things like that. So at one point he's taking a hair from his head and putting it over the door to see if someone has entered. Which, yeah, Sean, you might want to slow down on pulling those hairs out, pal. Yeah, I know, I've been saying Bond is pretty cool, but there is one person in the film cooler than Bond. This guy. Look at him dance. Woohoo! Look at him go. Of course, you can't talk about Bond though without talking about the Bond girl, or the Bond woman in this case. Probably one of the most iconic ones of all time, Ursula Andress as Honey Rider. Proud owner of probably one of the sexiest moments in cinema history when she emerges from the ocean. But she's not just a piece of eye candy, she is pretty pivotal to the plot and gives as good as she gets. She even talks about a moment where she killed one of the men who raped her.
Then one night he came up to my room. I put a black widow spider underneath his mosquito net. A female, and they're the worst. It took him a whole week to die.
She's a pretty strong character, but I do love the way Bond does double take on her name.
What's your name?
Ryder.
Ryder what?
Honey Ryder. What's so funny about it?
Nothing. It's a very pretty name.
There's one element we have to talk about though, every Bond film has, aside from the gadgets and the girls, it's the villain. And this one has, of course, the eponymous Dr. No, who shows up in the last 20 minutes of the film and gives a big evil monologue. He had a bionic hand or claw or something. A claw! And then he dies. Pretty easily. Like, look, if we're completely honest, the villain in the first Bond movie is pretty lame. Like, he has a good evil look, but he's entirely forgettable. I guess it was more important that they established Bond for this first film, but yeah, this villain is pretty lame, and that goes for the ending in general. He just falls in and dies, and then Bond has sex on a boat. Dr. No is Bond without the flair. It lacks a lot of the bells and whistles that later entries would have, but the framework of the character and the world is certainly there. It's very much a sort of spy film that your dad might enjoy. It's slow and methodical. A bit of a bare-bones spy film with not a lot of action. While it does have many of the hallmarks that Bond would have later on, it's also pretty tonally inconsistent and just kind of feels lackluster. It's a very capable film, well made certainly, but not necessarily entertaining or enjoyable. Due to the success of Dr. No the following year, Bond would come back from Russia with love.
Russia with love.
Greetings from all of us here at Spectre. If you enjoyed the latest batch of intel on 007, be sure to press that like button. And if you want to make sure that you don't miss the next transmission of confidential information on 007, be sure to press subscribe. Stay evil, my friends. Spectre out.